We're going to give everyone a minute or two to join, and we will start promptly at 2. Just a few more seconds to let a few more people join us, and we will begin at 2. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Communities Talk to Prevent Alcohol and Other Drug Misuse, launching the new cycle in 2024. Today's call will be recorded. We will be monitoring the chat, so if you have any questions for our speakers, please write them in the chat box at any time. We also have a question and answer session at the end. My name is Marion Pierce. I'm a public health analyst in the Center for Substance Abuse Prevention, or SAMHSA. I'm also the lead for the Communities Talk to Prevent Alcohol and Other Drug Misuse initiative. Please join me in welcoming our co-presenters. First, we have Captain Christopher Jones. He's the director for the Center for Substance Abuse Prevention at SAMHSA. And we have David Kenyon, advisor and teacher. He is an advisor for the Van Academic Decathlon Friday Night Live chapter, and a teacher and a class advisor at the Travis Unified School District. He is also the advisor for the National Honor Society. And we also have Ivanka Hall, Executive Director of the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition. So again, thank you for joining us today. In this discussion, we hope that you'll learn more about the value of Communities talking about substance use prevention, also the Communities Talk 2024 cycle, and how it is an effective strategy to support community prevention efforts, as well as hear about the experiences of Community Talk organizers through their success stories. So Communities Talk is a SAMHSA program to support community-based organizations to hold prevention events and activities. That includes colleges and universities, local coalitions, state-based organizations, and local chapters of national organizations. Communities Talks events educate communities about the harmful consequences of underage drinking and other substance use among people ages 12 to 25. And it also helps communities mobilize to put evidence-based prevention strategies in place. So since Communities Talk began, it has supported thousands of local organizations' prevention efforts by providing $750 planning stipends to community-based organizations or CBOs, institutions of higher education, or IHEs, and statewide or state-based organizations to plan activities. So in 2023, there were 500 stipends of $750 each. They were distributed on a first-come, first-served basis. Communities Talk has evolved and now takes place every year with a new cycle beginning in January of 2024. We hope that this change will help communities carry the momentum in their prevention efforts from year to year. And we're also encouraging organizations to continue their prevention work, even if they do not receive a planning stipend. So registration for the 2024 cycle opens in January, right around the corner. So to participate, request your invitation from info@stopalcoholabuse.net. Once you're invited, you'll need to complete an online registration form. And to learn more about registering and planning your activity, visit stopalcoholabuse.gov/communities-talk. So to feature your activity or find an activity on our map, make sure that you update the activity details in your Communities Talk profile. And also please keep an eye out for information to share your Communities Talk success stories. Your story could be featured in the Communities Talk website. And, we don't expect you to do this by yourselves. We offer you tools and resources. And some of those resources include our prevention podcast series, which features participants from previous Communities Talk cycles. We also have success stories from communities across the country. We have the What's New articles that helps event organizers plan, host, and evaluate prevention events. And we also have, like this, a webinar series for prevention professionals that is available on SAMHSA's YouTube channel that discusses a variety of topics such as fentanyl prevention, the intersectionality to advance prevention among young adults, and storytelling. So to see all of this and more, visit the Communities Talk website. And at this time, we can hear more from Captain Jones, who we're honored to have him join us today. Captain Jones.
Great. Thank you so much, Mary, and thanks to all the attendees. Super excited to be with you today, as well as our panelists, to talk about the Communities Talk program. And as Marian mentioned, Communities Talk is an important public engagement initiative that gets communities talking about substance use prevention. And since 2006, the Communities Talk program has been supporting communities across the country and bringing together youth, adults, family members, friends, schools, and community leaders to have conversations about substance use in their communities and to get involved in coming up with shared solutions. I'm excited that you've joined today to learn more about the program and to hear from people who have been in your shoes and have hosted Communities Talk events, and what can happen when community members get informed about what's going on locally and work together to design strategies to address substance use. we really do focus this effort at a local level because we know that community context, substance use patterns, and challenges related to prevention can vary across communities. And you can see in this map here where communities have taken advantage of the stipends to support these conversations. But it is that community context and the unique nature of the resources and values and norms that individuals bring that really focuses us on helping communities tailor local solutions to local issues. Just a couple of examples from former events. The Health Prevention Committee in Montana received its first Communities Talk planning stipend 4 years ago. This community is located in rural Montana, not far from the Canadian border, where the legal drinking age is 18, and it was easy for youth in the community to cross over into Canada and access alcohol. But they also found out that alcohol wasn't the only substance posing problems in their community, with a large percentage, about 25% of high school students reporting ever using marijuana before the age of 13. So because their substance use patterns were focused on particularly younger age groups, they actively involved and led their event with youth in the high school's Keystone Club, where they practiced discussing substance refusal skills through role playing, switching roles between being a young person as well as being parents. And this was a different approach than taken at the University of Denver in Colorado, where they wanted to educate students that had about an 80% prevalence of alcohol use among students about how much alcohol is actually contained in different beverages, from beer to wine to cocktails. We know that many times young adults are consuming more than they think they're consuming. And so the university wanted to use a Halloween-focused event to jumpstart a conversation among various student support personnel in the university and students themselves about the reality of how much alcohol is contained in different beverages. So these are just two quick examples, but showing the variation and flexibility in the program for how communities can use Communities Talk to jumpstart those conversations. And our investment here is making those types of discussions a reality. Next slide. To date, there have been more than 11,000 Communities Talk events and activities since the program started nearly 20 years ago. And these can range from small meetings of a couple of dozen participants to larger media campaigns that reach thousands of people. But the beauty of the initiative is that we have built in community flexibility to allow communities to plan and use their stipends, again, based on their local community context to help meet their needs and what will be most impactful in addressing their local substance use prevention needs. So prevention organizations, colleges, universities, and others have a tremendous opportunity to leverage Communities Talk to jumpstart those conversations and to mobilize people to action. And before I turn it over to our next speaker, I just want to share a short story. Earlier this year, the team received a message from a participant at the Mount Vernon Community Cares Coalition event held in New York. This Communities Talk event was hosted by youth from the Comprehensive Adolescent Pregnancy Prevention Program, who shared concerns about the influx of tobacco and liquor stores in their community. During the event, the youth encouraged their peers to promote community building activities and to utilize local mental health services. The Deputy Chief Criminal Investigator for the District Attorney's Office was a participant in the event. After the event, he wrote to the coalition a short message about the event, and I wanted to share a little bit of what he wrote to the coalition. He said, "The young people were amazing, that they had so much to offer and have so much hope and potential. Meeting the young people who came by my table was very special, but the best part of the event was listening to the older students speak in the auditorium. I'll bring back what I learned back to the DA's office to see if we can help with enriching the future for these amazing young people. Please let the young people know that I appreciate them, I hear them, I see them, and I will do what I can to support them." This is Communities Talk at work, and the potential you all have in creating space and time in your communities to talk about substance use. So thanks again for joining, for expressing your interest, and for all that you're already doing to advance prevention in your communities. Now I'll turn it over to one of our amazing Communities Talk hosts, David Kenyon, with the Vanden Academic Decathlon Friday Night Live chapter in California. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm David Kenyon. As Captain Jones said, I'm the advisor for our Friday Night Live chapter here in Solano County. Next slide, please. We are located roughly about 30 miles east of Sacramento. And what we did, we're in a place called Fairfield. Vanden High School is a public high school, grades 9 through 12. And what we did, thanks to SAMHSA, was we decided to look at several different issues. And Friday Night Live is a statewide organization which is dedicated to the youth being empowered to confront many of the issues that they face in today's world. And we decided to look at the dangers of fentanyl, which most of us were pretty oblivious about. And so what we started to do is to plan a town hall meeting. And in order to do that, we would meet 1 to 2 times a week at lunch or after school with both the Solano County Office of Public Health and then also with a representative from Toro University. So we could learn exactly what is fentanyl and how to go about doing the presentation. So we had entitled it, "One Pill Can Kill: The Dangers of Fentanyl." And we set in motion a town hall meeting. We would reach out to not just the school community, but also the greater community. And we had about approximately 12 students work on it from grades 9 through 12. And I have 6 of them here with me today to answer some of the Q&A, but also I'm going to turn it over briefly to 2 of them to talk about both the struggles that we had in putting this together, and then also the successes that we had as we look back at it. And for all of us, it was an empowering moment, and it was something that I think we would then take on, and we would take it to classes, to the greater community, and I think we've all been enriched by it. And so with that, I will turn it over to one of my FNLers named Danielle Miller, and she'll talk briefly about some of the struggles that we had with it.
So one of our main struggles was getting our audience to truly understand how dangerous fentanyl is. A lot of them were aware of what it is, but they didn't understand how dangerous it was or why it was so dangerous. So because of this, we did have a hard time educating them on the crisis that is looming over our country. But despite this, we were still able to educate them, and our presentation was received well overall. And we got a lot of good feedback from the members of our audience. And because of this presentation, we were invited by our principal to give this presentation for our health classes inside of our school. And we were even able to take this presentation statewide to the Youth Summit in Anaheim, California. So I'm gonna hand it over to Elaine Chandler.
I'm Elaine Chandler. And so I wanted to talk about the impact of this community talk. We were able to truly spread awareness about the dangers of fentanyl and teach incredibly important skills as well, such as how to recognize the signs of drug use and how to save someone from overdose using Narcan. We even distributed this Narcan for free, which is a life-saving drug that prevents the overdose from essentially killing people. And we even keep this in our school. And learning from the tragedies that fentanyl caused in other communities and even communities very close to our own, we were able to strive to make our community a much safer place and keep people from being oblivious to the great danger around them.
And we learned a lot about fentanyl, also the fact that it's really like the silent killer. It has no smell, the power of it. I mean, I think most of us were shocked that the tip of a pencil could kill somebody, or the fact that a small little can of soda pop filled with fentanyl could wipe out our entire county, which is, probably 400,000 people. So it was an eye-opening moment for us. It enriched us, and I'm just so proud of the effort that our FNLers did, and they're really just these wonderful students. And again, we want to thank from the bottom of our hearts SAMHSA for their support, and we look forward to continuing to work with SAMHSA. It is a marvelous organization, and thank you again. Next slide to Ivanka, who is going to empower us again. Thank you.
That was some great work. Thank you, and thank your students. I am Ivanka Hall. I am the executive director of the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition. We are a nationally award-winning organization that was created to look at equity in the African American community, addressing the cumulative impact of racial, economic, environmental, and social justice inequities in education, employment, housing, and health. And we do all of that by working to educate, advocate for, and empower the community. So before I jump into my slide, I have to tell you a story because for me, days mean everything. So 7 years ago today, I lost a member of my family. He died at 44 years old, lifelong having issues with alcohol since he was in his early teens. And so for us, it was personal. How do we make sure that we're addressing this issue and talking to teens by telling them the truth? Because I think that so often what happens is when people fail to tell young folks about the dangers, the real dangers around alcohol and drug abuse and some of those other things, and how they lead to mental health issues and our gun violence issues that plague our communities. And so for us, we wanted to make sure that in everything that we did, that we tell the truth. So we can go to the next slide. So I am representing Region 5, which is located in Cleveland, Ohio. My organization works from all across Northeast Ohio. We are the For Real Deal Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition. We go from Lorain County to Youngstown. The name of our activity was the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition Teen Truth. And so that Teen Truth initiative for last year was our town hall meeting. And so part of these town hall meetings were meetings at schools where we partnered with the high school students that were in the Cleveland Municipal School District, which is one of our largest districts here in the city. And so basically what we wanted to do was talk to the students about advocacy. How can they advocate for change? And then talk to them about the issues that were impacting them and ways to actually um, advocate for themselves and to recognize the impact of underage drinking and other substance abuse. And so for us, we also tied in gun violence and mental health issues because we wanted to make sure that we were addressing the issues that disproportionately impact our young people. The year before, when we did a program, we also did the same thing and we had it in a park like setting. So we had yoga and some of the other things to kind of teach them about relaxation. But one of the things that happened that was eye opening for many of the people who are doing this work, we were in this beautiful setting and you could hear the birds and there was a young man who had his head thrown back and he was like, he was sitting there and he was just in another world. And he said, "Is this Cleveland?" And he asked, and then he asked someone else. And I said, yes. But for him, it wasn't the Cleveland that he was used to, the things that he saw within his community. He was in a safe space where he could enjoy the the opportunity with other students. Um, they had all the food that they could eat and all of the things that we could make sure that they had for a wonderful engagement. And so we're going to go to the next one. So basically, we covered alcohol use and substance abuse and mental health. That's what I talked about. Our strategies were making sure that they had materials around promotion and messaging. So basically, for us, that whole how do we create a communications campaign that's created by them to talk about the issues that are impacting the students. Harm reduction for us was related to the alcohol and substance abuse issues. And so if you don't know anything about Cleveland, Ohio is one of the highest poverty areas in the United States. And so we know that our students having a lot of other issues outside of the school settings, in their community settings. And so we wanted to make sure that we hit on all of those things for them, because all of those things are intertwined. Like, we can't talk about one without talking about the other things. Um, our triumphs was we developed a relationship with the Cleveland Municipal School District. You know, it was important because I think a lot of times what happens is you can't find the right person in. Like, who do you talk to in order for you to get in? And then how do you stay engaged? And so for us, it's been a continuation of offering other things. Like, we do a CPR class for the students also. We This helped us to foster a partnership with an agency that we had worked with in the past that does a lot of things around police violence. And so one of them is Black Lives Matter Cleveland. So we worked with Black Lives Matter Cleveland. And so for them, the young people trusted them because they heard about Black Lives Matter and they knew about their work that they were doing in the community. So they may not have known about the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition, but the relationship with Black Lives Matter allowed us to gain the trust of the students. And when we're talking about this work, this community talk, it's so important to have the trust of the people that you're um, engaging with. And for us, being able to engage with young people, because I'm somebody's grandmother. So my level of engagement is a little different than them engaging with each other. Um, and so we wanted to make sure that we had repeated participation. And for us, it allowed us to have a greater visibility around the youth. So they got a chance to see us at these different things that we were doing in the community, and knowing that we weren't just drop in, drop out group, that they see us quite a bit. The impact of the community's talk participation on the community is, for us, the prevention efforts have contributed to a positive change in our community, particularly the things that we did around advocacy, showing them how to write letters to the editor, and some of those other things that were important. We convened youth over 3 days at 3 local schools. One of them was a male focused school and the others were co-ed. So it's a little different when we're dealing with all boys than with all girls. I mean, with a co-ed system. So making sure that we were able to address things from the viewpoint for all boys. So for me, I have a son, and so being able to talk to boys is a little different than being able to talk in these co-ed groups. And so the boys wanted to talk about all of these other things. But one of the things that we did to help them to kind of ease the talk was we provided food. And so they were able to eat while we were talking. And they, so food allows people to kind of break the ice and to talk in a different way. And so many of the young adults were student athletes, and they had just won a national championship. The Glenville school system had, Cleveland. Glenville School had won a national championship, and they actually just won another one a couple of weeks ago. And so using drugs and alcohol for them, it talked about them and their ability to impact their ability to play sports. And so for them, sports is everything. And so talking to them on that level. Next slide. I think that's it. And so for us, making sure that they understand that we are there to address their needs, and to talk to them in a way, not as a parent, but as an advocate for change in the community. And so for them, I tell them what I tell you and what I tell all audience that I speak to. For me, I do this work because my mom was murdered in front of myself and my younger brothers when I was 6 years old. And I promised that I would use my life to help change others. And so for me, I looked at the issues that had impacted my life and how can I use those things to help change the lives of other people, particularly younger people. And so this is important. This is important to our daily work. And I hope that it's important to your work and that you all will take heart into the lives that you can change as you are doing your work in the community. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Ivanka and Friday Night Live team. Those were some great stories. Before we go into the question and answer session, just wanted to remind everyone that this webinar will be posted to SAMHSA's YouTube page for on-demand viewing, so you can access it. So you can access this recording at a later date. You can also refer others who didn't have a chance to watch it with us to get this information. At this point, I guess we will go into the question and answer period. Let's see, I know there is one question that I will just share with everyone, and then I have a specific question for Friday Night Live. The question that I received in the chat was, does the Communities Talk website have mental health and addiction resources for use? So the Communities Talk website does not have those resources, but fortunately, the SAMHSA website, samhsa.gov, has that information, because we want everyone to go to the SAMHSA website for global information. But we try to make it as comprehensive as possible. And I'll say this in front of my boss, because Captain Jones is my boss's boss. So yes, I do work for him. We know that our website is a work in progress, but fortunately it is the best that it can be at this point, knowing that we are striving to make it better. Let's see, David and team, question for you. Can you tell us more about how you empowered the young adults to take action and lead the Communities Talk event, and expand upon the event being youth-led?
Oh, okay. Well, what we did was we looked at a variety of issues that the youth face, and our Friday Night Live chapter deals with, we can deal with distracted driving. We're going to be doing a presentation this upcoming spring on the dangers of vaping. We can deal with teenage dating abuse. But what we wanted to do was work on the issue of fentanyl, and it really hasn't hit the high schools so much. It's in the colleges and beyond, but we know it's coming. And so what we did was we began to reach out to people such as I mentioned before, the County Office of Public Health, and then also and then Toro University. And so we worked with two adults, Maria and Arthur, who really twice a week we would meet, and they would go over everything, and the kids then started putting together a PowerPoint presentation. And we wanted it to be about a 2-hour long presentation with a demonstration and then a Q&A period. And then we had to go ahead and do the community outreach. So the kids really took to it. They were empowered by it, and they all had different roles in the presentation. So we worked on gradually sliding each person into what would their role be. They would rehearse it, they would choreograph it. And so when we did the presentation in April of this year, it just came off amazingly well. Our principal, our representatives from our district, they were amazed. And that's, as Danielle was talking about earlier, that's why from there we went to the classes. Our principal wanted that, took it to the greater community, and we are going to continue this. So it was a tremendous opportunity that benefited us all in so many ways.
Thank you, David. I have a follow-up question, but I want to ask a question to Ivanka first, and then I'll come back to you. Ivanka, can you tell us more about how you established partnerships in your community like Black Lives Matter, and the value partnerships can play in helping you reach your audiences?
So for me, because I am an activist and advocate, but I am most of all an agitator. And so for us in the community, um, we have become a respected voice in the community. And so a lot of agencies reach out to us, and then sometimes we reach out to them. And so there have been opportunities when I have been able to partner with Black Lives Matter on the policing issue here in the city of Cleveland. And so they knew about us and our work. And so when we wanted to do this, they were ecstatic. And we actually just talked 2 days ago about doing another forum for our young people. And then the policing commission said we need to do another um, activity here. And so I think that that's one of the things that's important is that, people see us enough in the community where they respect us. And so not only was Black Lives Matter a partner, but the schools, having the schools as a partner, because we needed to have a place that was neighborhood friendly and that the youth could come to and feel safe. And so that's vitally important to all of our work. So I hope that that answered your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you, Ivanka. Captain Jones, we have to include you in the mix as well. So here's a question for you. What emerging issues is SAMHSA focusing on now regarding substance misuse prevention? And what are topics that you think are the most pressing for us to discuss through Communities Talk?
Well, great question. I mean, certainly, the experience from California around raising awareness about fentanyl, I think is very important. We are certainly dealing with a drug supply that is more toxic and unpredictable than it has ever been. And so while we do see progress in declining or at least stable rates of substance use among young people in the US, we've seen significant increases in overdose deaths among young people. And that is a function of the proliferation of counterfeit pills that contain fentanyl but look like many commonly misused prescription drugs. So I think raising awareness that using drugs is riskier than it's ever been, but that there are steps that can be taken to reduce risk for overdose, like having naloxone, is important. But I would also say that the usual suspects, so alcohol, tobacco, cannabis, are also very much ever present among young people and in communities and contribute to substantial harm among those populations. But we are also seeing that the dynamic there is also changing. There were changes during COVID about alcohol policies. We continue to see the proliferation of alcohol and caffeinated beverages or vaping and different, potencies for nicotine or cannabis that are showing up in communities. And we know that those can have important impacts on developing brains, and that if we can prevent or delay use of substances, we can reduce risk for future harms for development of substance use disorders. So I think that there is no shortage of challenges in the substance use space. And that the beauty of this particular initiative is that you really can take stock of what is driving the problems and challenges in your community and tailor your conversations to that. But it is an important opportunity to raise awareness. And to be honest, I mean, I really like Ms. Hall's comments that we want to be truthful, right? That young people are using substances. How do we help think about instilling resilience and protective factors to reduce risk or prevent or delay substance use, using facts, using honest conversations, meeting people where they are? And I think that, again, is sort of the beauty of this initiative, is that it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. It can be very much driven by what's going on in your community. And then the last thing that's just important for me from a prevention perspective is that we really do need to take a holistic view of prevention. That this is not, the solutions are not solely at the individual level, an individual changing their behavior, but it's really about systems and communities and norms in communities. And how are we looking at social determinants of health? How are we looking at really creating opportunities for individuals, families, and communities to thrive? And I think these conversations, because you're bringing people together, are an opportunity to have that broader conversation and to think about who are the other people in our community that have important prevention levers to pull that should be a part of this conversation. And it really is a way to jumpstart that holistic perspective on prevention.
Thank you, Captain Jones. This question is for the Friday Night Live youth. David, thank you for including the youth in your presentation. Often we have many communities talk events that are youth-led, but you actually brought them to the table with you for this webinar. And so we want to ask the youth directly, what made you interested in Friday Night Live and drug prevention work?
Okay, I'm going to turn that over to one of my students. So I have Sarah Salma here, and she'll take that one as to what makes somebody interested in being part of Friday Night Live.
Well, I know when, from speaking from experience, I joined in my freshman year of high school, and a lot of students that I meet in Friday Night Live, they all want to make a change in their community, and they want to empower other students and educate other students. So I think that for me was just one of the big draws to Friday Night Live, is just being around people who also want to help out the community and getting to learn a lot about the community and just getting to help. That I think is the biggest draw.
Also, sorry, are you okay with that?
We have Yuna also here, so Yuna, right here.
Hello. So also just kind of to add on to that, there's a lot of great adults in the area and advisors like Mr. Kenyon, who got us all I'm pretty sure I speak for all of us when we say he's really great in empowering our youth and making us all inspired to make a real big difference in our area. And it's not only advisors like Mr. Kenyon that really drive us to do this work, but also the feeling of like fulfillment and it's very inspiring and very empowering to know that we're a part of protecting the youth in our community and making a real impact.
Does anyone else want to add before I ask the next?
Yeah, I have one more student, Josh Richardson, right here.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also just having a great community that surrounds you. I mean, we have a really big Friday Night Live chapter that you can come and be a part of and just meet a lot of really great like-minded people. And I think that's a really big draw, is having these leaders here like us that we can all like come to and just kind of have a family with Friday Night Live that we can all converse with. And it's a lot of fun, to be honest.
Great. Thanks to all of you. This question is for Ivanka and David. What strategies do you use to bring new audiences to your established programs?
Ivanka, do you want to take that first? Or you want me to?
So one of the things that we do is we actually do compensate the young people for their time. So we do give them a stipend for their time. It's important that I recognize that a lot of our young people don't have a lot at home, and some of them may not have food. And so for us, you know, this may not cover, all the students that we have, but we go get other funding to be able to cover it. And then we when we find out that some of our students are having a rough time, we've sent baskets to their homes during the holidays and help with other things. And so they get a chance to see the goodness in people who are in the community. And so for us, I think that that's a big thing, is that a lot of times students don't see the good. They only see the bad, the things that are going on that are bad in their community. And I know somebody else put a thing in there and they asked about tobacco. So just so you know, we worked on tobacco legislation. We're actually trying to force the city of Cleveland to adopt a menthol-free community standard here. And so we worked on that. We also work on lead poisoning, which disproportionately impacts our students. We worked on the lead poisoning legislation, and we've done some other legislation. So we do understand that policy change is important and how important it is. And that is one of the reasons why we do the frontline work and the back work of making sure that we are talking to our policymakers to get policy change. Thank you.
And from Band and Friday Night Live, well, I have a lot of these students. I have them as in my AP classes, and kind of like Josh had mentioned, it becomes kind of like a family. And Friday Night Live is not just a chapter at our high school. Our members can also join a county-wide coalition, and then there's a state council. And we have great support at the county level. So we have some of our leaders who run that program. Johanna, Becca, Jenna, and all, they're probably watching it right now. And we really want to empower these young people, and Una and others have attested to this. One of the things we want to really reach out to is just, for example, we do a podcast we're working on right now. We're working on really going after a lot of, we want to make society better. And some of these organizations or companies that we're attacking right now, like we're going after big tobacco, which they are predators. They prey on certain groups, the LGBTQ plus community, the Black and brown communities, and we want to eradicate that. We want to do our best, one step at a time, to make this, and I don't want to sound cliche about this, but to really make this world a better place. And that's really what these kids do. And to be around them, it's more than engaging, it's more than enlightening. They really enrich my lives every day.
Thank you. This is another dual question for David and Ivanka. What specific strategies have you found effective in reaching populations that may be more vulnerable to substance misuse, especially ones with language or cultural barriers?
Okay, I can start on this one here with one of my kids taking over eventually, but as I mentioned before, one of the things we're doing is a podcast, and we are trying to really confront the tobacco companies who use vaping and other products to really affect negatively the lives of primarily those segments of our population, which may be more going through crises and stuff like that. And so I'm going to turn it over to Mahi, is right here, and she's running the podcast, and she's going to talk about how we're confronting that.
Yeah, so as Mr. Kenyon said, there's a lot of demographics that vape companies and tobacco sellers try to target their products towards, because they know these are more vulnerable demographics, such as LGBTQ plus communities and lower income communities. They know that they are more anxiety ridden because of the pressure from society already, because of their expressions. So they try to kind of advocate for these people to go to tobacco and vapes to relieve some of this anxiety. And as science has proven, we know that it doesn't get rid of their anxiety at all, but exemplifies it by 1,000%. So that's why our podcast tries to, really speak to the youth about there are other ways, are other coping mechanisms to turn towards besides for vaping and tobacco uses, and you are not alone in this crisis. So that's why we wanted to have a series just dedicating a one-on-one youth-to-youth sessions about other resources or coping mechanisms you could take rather than falling prey to these big corporations.
And I think for us, it becomes word of mouth. So when young people come to our programs and they enjoy themselves, and they learn a lot, like you're learning and doing other things. And so I think that they don't look at it as, this is school. This is an education piece. They look at it as, this is just an opportunity to get away from some other things, or for them in school to get away from class for a little while. But I think that usually right after they start inviting other young people to our sessions, like, oh, make sure that you go to that session. And so I think that that's, the best part of it is that they tell other young people about it, because they're obviously getting something out of it enough to tell other young people to participate.
Great. A quick housekeeping note. One question that came in was, can a small portion of the funds be used to recognize the work of youth involved in this event, for example, gift cards. So unfortunately, stipends cannot be used for gift cards. Also, we have on the Communities Talk website a list of all of the things that the stipend can be used for and cannot be used for. Just quickly, a stipend cannot be used for items to entice or recruit participants such as food and beverages, door prizes, giveaway items and promotional products, t-shirts, baseball cups. But again, I'm driving, if you don't get it, I'm driving you to the Communities Talk website to look at that and get some more information, and it will answer your questions about what it can and cannot do, because in addition to being an informative and fun conversation, we try to keep it legal because I like orange, but I don't wear it unless I have to. Another question that came up was, let's see.
Marion, can I say something about that?
Sure.
So our stipend wasn't, so our dollars were used to print our materials.
Yes,
And
that
then we
is
had some speakers that were there that we had to obviously, compensate for their time. But we went to our other partners around food and around getting stipends for the students. So that's where it's important to make sure that you are using your network. Because you know it's going to, for us to be able to do the things that we did with our students, obviously it was going to be more than $750. So being able to go to your network and say, look, we're about to do these things with these students. Are you willing to support? Because a lot of them, they also wanted inroads into the schools and to be able to do things, and so they get a chance to do them through us. And so this helped us to be able to get the materials that we needed. It also helped us to be able to get the people that we needed, and then we did the other work to get the other things that we needed in order to make the program a success.
exactly. Thank you, Ivanka. Uh, David, Captain Jones, do you want to add anything before I go to the next question? Okay, next question. And this one is for me. Do you have materials with up-to-date data that can be sent to local, state, and national representatives so we can help them understand the importance of these issues? What we create are data visualizations and fact sheets that use NISDA data that talk about that provide data on a higher or global perspective. I think what we could do is work with your local college or university to go through that data and ask them to help you pull the information for your local area and create information. It sort of goes back to what Ivanka talked about of working with your network and others. So pulling those in who have that specific expertise or funding that will push you beyond your own capabilities. Next question that I have is for Ivanka or David. How can communities keep the prevention messaging going for post-high school students or those who are transitioning to adulthood or not going to college?
I think for us, it's we partner with organizations, even the universities. So we speak at universities all the time, but even with like the homeless shelters, partnering with things for them. We do a lot of things with our city mission here. And so we get a chance to see a lot of the young people because we have a lot of young people who have aged out of foster care and they're now in homeless shelters here in Cleveland. And so being able to talk with them about what are some of the resources that are available and how to move them from the shelter into their life. Like everybody's not going to go to college. So what other programs do we have that are available for them? So being able to talk to them about those things and being able to utilize our other partners um, for that. But we also put up a lot of billboards. So we look at, areas that may have a lot of negative billboards, because when you talk about the inner city, if you're walking to a store, you see liquor advertisements, cigarette advertisements. Those advertisements are everywhere, and so for us, countering it with a positive message has been important. And it doesn't cost a lot for us to put up billboards, and so those billboards reach hundreds of thousands of people in our area, and those things really help to get communities involved, and they get a chance to see that it's actually people that are doing the work that look like them.
And for us here at Friday Night Live, one of the great things about the program, kids become so involved in it that they can actually carry on, and not just at the county level, the state level, and that can go all the way through their undergraduate, even up into the age of 24. So this can just go on, and then you hope that they touch another person and another person gets touched by this. And it's just the groundswell of being committed to empowering our youth and helping to make this place a safer and a better place for all. And then Una will talk a little bit now.
Yeah, so also in addition to that, like Josh mentioned earlier, we are really like a family here. And I feel like the community that we build is so important to creating striving for lasting change within ourselves and our community. So I know that most of us are seniors here, actually 4 of us are seniors, and I can say safely that after we graduate, we will not stop continuing to strive for healthier lifestyles for ourselves and other people. And I think that plays such a large role in it, is feeling like we're a part of a community and wanting to continue that work past just high school and then into our adult lives.
Okay. Closing question for everyone. Someone who's watching this webinar think, oh, you guys have done this so, multiple times. You do it in your sleep. It's easy. What would you tell Norma Jansen in Enfield, North Carolina, who's planning to have her first Communities Talk event? And she's like, I don't know what to do. And she doesn't know where to start. So besides, don't be scared.
For me, I would say listen to your youth. Make sure that you're hearing from them about the things they want. I remember years ago being in a forum, and they asked what can we do to get youth involved. And so there were young people there, and the young people said, have a basketball tournament. And the lady just skipped over everything that they said and said, okay, so if we do and they're looking like, is that a basketball tournament? Like, we're not doing it. And so I think for us, it's making sure that we're listening to what our youth wants, being able to listen to what they want and being able to give them, what they want. And so for us, that has been vitally important. And we didn't, working with young people wasn't our thing. It was, being able, we started getting feedback from young people, and that's where Teen Truth came from, because they wanted something for them. And so that's where that came from. And then we used it and said, hey, tell us what else you need. Tell us some of the other things that you want to see go on in the community, some of the other things that you want to be involved with. What do your friends want to be involved with? And that helped us to be able to turn the corner on youth engagement.
And if I can piggyback a little bit on what Ivanka said. First of all, Ivanka, great stuff that you're doing. Really powerful. Love what you're doing in the great city of Cleveland. Been there several times. Love the city. Yeah, just keep it going. Reach out to the kids. Find out what they want. They'll take it and run. You just give them a little bit of direction. We're here if you ever want to contact us. SAMHSA is a great place to start. If you want to come to us, how we got it going, please do. And this is the season of giving. So these same students here, they're going to spend this Saturday morning going to a retirement home and singing Christmas carols and just bring a little bit of joy, because that's what we want to do. We want to make the world a better place.
Great. So before I go to the closing slide, I will ask Captain Jones, is there anything that you would like to say besides what you mentioned at the beginning about Communities Talk?
I just wanted to say thanks for the conversation, and to our two exemplar hosts. Such great perspectives, and I'm the parent of a 10-year-old. And I only hope that my daughter will be in your shoes in a few years, to the high school students in California doing such great work. I think she's starting down that path with some stuff she's doing in her elementary school, but it is encouraging to see that there are vehicles as she continues to grow to apply her passion for bettering herself and her peers. So I just wanted to really thank you for that perspective from young people. And as Ms. Hall said, listen to what the young people are saying if we're trying to develop programs for young people. Thank you.
And Captain Jones, you often tell us about things that CJ is doing. She is one of the busiest 10-year-olds that I know. So if I'm often you give me a task to do, if I may give you one, Captain Jones, please go to the Communities Talk, find a activity map. And there's usually lots of activity in Atlanta and Georgia. I'm quite sure there would be something that CJ would find of interest. And 10 is not too young to participate in one of our events. I've brought my godson to Communities Talk event, as well as Prevention Day. So we'll find something for CJ to do once the next cycle starts. And for this is a continuing conversation. So please, to learn more about Communities Talk, go to stopalcoholabuse.gov/Communities Talk. If you have questions, please go to info@stopalcoholabuse.net. We have a great group who receives those questions. I would say a lot of those come directly to me, but some questions are just general household questions that they take care of. But we do respond to them, and we are planning to make 2024 the best Communities Talk event year possible. Again, I thank you for your time. We know that all of us have various competing activities, but you chose to spend this hour with us and learn more about Communities Talk. And for that, I am grateful and look forward to working with you. Again, Ivanka and David, thank you for sharing with our community, and we look forward to what happens next. I hope everyone have a happy and healthy holiday season. Ivanka, I hope that you find something that you find some gratitude and peace in today. On the other end, today is my niece's birthday, 12/12. So, you know, I understand the importance of family and how you remember those times. So Communities Talk is really all about family. So just let's make sure that we're doing things to keep family safe and know that they are cared about. And hopefully that will have a ripple effect and beyond. Again, thank you for being with us today and for your time. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.